And we can start lying on our backs. Have your blocks within reach. And let's have, um, let me see. So you don't all have these some of you have like single tennis balls. Do you have socks?
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna go get tennis balls.
okay, so who doesn't have tennis balls?
Can you take it off gallery?
Okay, all right. And I'll just mute this, but feel free to unmute if you like. All right, so we'll use these outside of the sock or the tote. So you might want to untote them because we'll begin to apply them once we're lying down. And again, have your block handy. And let's just start lying on our backs with knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And let's start with a body scan, starting with the feet, noticing where the weight is on the feet. Comparing the difference between the left side and the right side. Whether the weight's on the inner arch or the outer arch. And then notice the knees. Do the knees draw in towards each other? Or are they aligned with the ankles and the hips? And then let's just lift the toes off the ground so you're on your heels. Just spread the toes wide. And then lower the balls of the feet to the floor, but try not to lower the toes. And as we as we use our body, as we use our feet, we might find that, maybe the arches are falling, or we don't have the flexibility, the mobility of our feet. And doing just these simple toe raises, you might notice that it's some work. You might feel your feet, the muscles on the top of the feet engaging. And then just let the pinky toe touch down. See if you can let the pinky toe gravitate towards the floor, but as much as you can, the other toes are lifted. And notice the muscles of the feet that engage in order to keep the toes lifted. And then one at a time, go to the second littlest toe, the middle toe, the second biggest toe, and then finally the big toe to the ground. And just notice how it feels when we're intentional about stretching out the feet and placing them down. You might feel a little bit more spacious. And now notice the front of the hips, the psoas muscles. Just notice how they feel. Whether there's a sense of tightness anywhere, or maybe it's feeling great this morning. Maybe there's nothing noticeable. And now let your attention travel to the back of the hips. And this is where sometimes we can notice the difference between the right and the left. One of them may feel a little more relaxed on the ground. And there's no right or wrong thing to observe. It's just taking this time to observe what your habitual pattern tendencies are. And now notice the lower back. So the lower back is just above the tailbone. It's that little space that maybe you could slide an index finger underneath. And let's roll the hips forward so you have an arch. So now you can fit your whole hand. And then roll your hips back. Now you're flattening your spine. And just do that a couple of times. This can be a nice way to get those joints moving. Can also be interesting to, once again, notice left and right. Does one side flow a little more smoothly than the other side? Do you notice this movement smoothing out as the muscles and the joints get some warmth and release the cobwebs? And then just pause in a neutral spine. Now let your attention travel up to the mid-back, noticing behind the ribs. Does one side of the ribs relax more to the ground than the other? So many of us have sort of this habitual rotation where I know for me, my right side, the right side of my ribs is slightly less relaxed than the left side. So again, just observing, not judging. And now come up to the upper back, the shoulders. Allow the arms to be a comfortable distance from your sides with the palms facing up. Take a few intentional breaths where you're breathing all the way down into the belly. And then as you exhale, feel the arm bones heavy, relaxing into the shoulder sockets. And then any holding patterns along the shoulder or upper back are just melting. And repeat this a few times. Breathing in, letting the belly inflate with air. Breathing out, letting the arms feel heavy, letting the muscles release any holding patterns. Just a couple more times. And a gentle reminder to try to keep the breath flowing in and out of the nose if that's possible. That can have a more calming effect on the nervous system when we breathe in and out through the nose. The breath goes a little bit slower. All right. Now, on your next inhale, your arms are going to be at your side, and then you're going to lift them up straight to the ceiling. So it's like you've got maybe a big ball in your hand. And then lift the arm bones up towards the ceiling. So the back of the shoulders comes off the ground. Like you're trying to hand this imaginary ball up to the ceiling, and then you change your mind and you drop the shoulder blades back to them. And just do that a couple of times. Inhale, you're going to stretch the arms, the back of the shoulders come off the ground, and then exhale, you change your mind. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, change your mind. Last one. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, change your mind. Nice. Now just notice, begin to reach the arms towards the wall behind you, but keep the shoulders on the ground. And just notice if one arm can go further than the other, let it go. Just sort of watch, observe the differences. Now, if you notice the mid-back coming off the floor, you might need to lift your arms up, reset, and then begin to lower again. And then inhale, the arms release to your sides. All right, let's grab a block if you have it. If you don't, you could use a book or a pillow. We're going to slide it underneath our sacrum, the tailbone. So you lift your hips up, and we're just going to the lowest height of the tailbone. Now, just elevating our hips above our heart can help to activate, to signal the body to get into this parasympathetic nervous system mode. It can also help with the flow of lymph and blood to the heart. And just notice not only the physical sensations, but notice any maybe energetic shifts. Is this a little bit more calming being in this position? And now you can grab your tennis balls. And I'm just going to sit up to show you the placement. And if you know these balls are not going to feel good on, your back, then you just skip it and stay with the hips elevated again, working on your breath. If you want to place the balls, they're just going to go on the upper part of the shoulders. Ultimately, they should be on muscle, not bone. If it's on bone, it may feel uncomfortable. And we're going to end up moving them around a little bit. So exact location isn't as important as how it feels. Now, if you did have one of these balls, you could use this instead of the block. That can make the rolling a little bit easier, a little more fluid. I'll demonstrate that, but again, you can also do this with the block that I mentioned. So we're going to place the balls just on the upper portion of the shoulders and breathe. As you breathe in, the breath inflates the belly. As you breathe out, upper back gets heavy. The balls go a little deeper into the tissues. And just repeat this breath. Flowing at a pace that feels good for you. And you're welcome to stay here. If you'd like to lift the arms up, as we did before, just notice how that feels with the balls there. Once again, reach up towards the ceiling, and then you change your mind. And just do that 2 more times. You lift up, you change your mind. You lift up, you change your mind. And now arms reach towards the wall behind you. You're not going to your full limit. It's just, it's more like you're apple picking. And so you just want to reach through one side and then the other side. And what you may notice is that the ball is traveling. Maybe it's a small area, but it's traveling along this area. And your neck can go side to side because we know how closely related the shoulders and the neck are. And your arms can be fluid, so the elbows can be bent. So it's not what the arms are doing, it's how the balls are rolling. So we're just trying to, instead of move the balls, we're moving the body. So then hopefully we can find some softness. And then maybe you rearrange the balls. Maybe they come a little closer together. You just find another spot. And this is the nice thing about having, if your sacrum's on the ball, you could do just sort of a shimmy, like a bobblehead here. I think it's probably a little more challenging to do with your tailbone on a block, but not impossible. And then pause. Just notice where in the upper back or shoulders it would feel good to just shimmy and let the balls explore. So this is what we sometimes spill into, this freestyle mode. And you may need to, readjust the balls. And then pause when you're complete. We can remove the balls. And then lift the ball or the block or the book from underneath the tailbone. Keeping the hips up, you're in a gentle bridge pose. We're going to take the balls and you're going to put them, imagine you have a pair of jeans. You're going to put them right at the top of the jean pocket and release down. Now, if this doesn't feel good, you could either move the ball north or south or east or west. Try a different position. If it still doesn't feel good, you just get rid of it. And we'll start first with just a contract and relax. So on your inhale, squeeze the glutes. So you're tightening the glutes. And then exhale, relax. And just flow between that a couple of times. And then pause. Again, maybe a little freestyle where you just begin kind of shimmying your hips side to side. So the ball is doing what we refer to as cross fibering. So our glutes can get, quite tight. And that can interfere with the firing action of those muscles. And we'll be doing a little bit of glute stuff today. And then when you're ready, just pause, slide the ball out, lower the hips down, hug the knees in, and then make circles with the knees in opposite directions. So we'll be getting into some lunge poses, so we want to warm up the hip joint here. Let's reverse direction. Try to keep the shoulders and the neck and the jaw relaxed. You should do this. And reverse direction. And then we'll pause. Hug the right knee. And extend the left leg. Notice the lower back. Just a slight space. Again, an index finger space. On your inhale, try to keep that space as you lift the left leg slowly up to the ceiling. And just notice as the leg is rising, and it doesn't have to go all the way to the ceiling. Notice when you feel different muscles engage. So you may feel right on the inner quad is working really hard at a certain angle. Feel free to pause and linger. You may feel the core engage. So just kind of play with the different angles of lifting this leg and noticing the different muscles that fire at different angles of this leg lift. And as we've talked about many times, more is not better. So if you're feeling a strong sensation somewhere, it doesn't mean that's the best sensation for you. Just try a couple more breaths. And we'll meet up with the left leg on the ground. Right knee, you're still hugging in. And if you're up for a twist, we're just warming up. So just be gentle, rocking the right knee towards the left. And then come back to center, a little bit to the right. Right knee comes across the body again towards the left. You're not going to your full range of motion here. And just a gentle warm up. And then you come back to the center, you hug the left leg in and extend the right leg. And check in with the arch. Also take an opportunity to just scan for any tension spots. The shoulders, the jaw, the face. Do what you can to relax anything that may be holding tension. Now have your attention right at the navel center, and on your inhale, lift from your core. And let the leg travel all the way up to a degree that feels good for you. Maybe it's facing towards the ceiling. And then as you lower down, just notice how different muscles kick in. Feel free to linger. Feel free to skip right through. Notice when you feel the most activation in your core. And if core is what you want to focus on, maybe you linger there. And just a couple more breaths. You need to make your way back to the ground with that right leg. And you pause. Just visualize that leg bone relaxing in the hip socket. And then that left knee can come gently over towards the right. And then back to center. And maybe a little bit left of center. And just do that a couple of times. Just a nice gentle warm up. Let the neck relax. The head can flow from side to side as well. We meet up in the center and we hug both knees in. And we make circles with the both knees together. Reverse direction. And you pause, extend the legs up towards the ceiling. If that feels comfortable, you might want to have your knees bent a little bit. And then the arms can go up as well. We just want to circle the wrists and ankles. Nice way to warm them up before we start putting weight on them. Other direction. And then we pause. We're going to come up to seated. You can roll to your side. You could rock up. Wherever that transition works for you. And let's come to hands and knees. So in the beginning, we talked about spreading the toes. Let's do the same thing with the fingers. And now toes are curled under. And see if you can get even that little pinky toe, which sometimes can be a little bit trickier. And then just as we did with the shoulders reaching up, press into the arms so you kind of round your shoulders and then collapse. And you press and collapse. So this is different than a cat and cow. We're working with the shoulders here. And then let's do our traditional cat and cow. So you're gonna curl the tailbone under, drop the nose towards the chest. And then inhale, arch the lower back, arch the mid, arch the upper back. And you draw the bottom tips of the shoulders towards each other. And then you round the spine. Head is heavy, neck is long. And then you arch. One more time. Nice. So now you're in a neutral spine. Let's begin to just press the hips towards the heels. Now we're doing this to stretch out the feet. If the knees don't like this, you could put your blocks or put the ball here. Also, just don't press to the point of discomfort. Then come back to your table, extend the left leg back. And a little pulse where you press through the heel, then you soften, press through the heel, and soften. And then you pause, engage the core, lift from that navel center again. So imagine that you engage the belly button back and up, and that's where the action is coming from, rather than the hip flexor. So the leg is lifted, and then the option to extend the opposite arm. And you breathe. Core is engaged. Lower the right hand down. Take the left leg over to the right. Look over the right shoulder. Come back to the center. And then let's do the right leg. Same thing. A little press and release. Think about not only lengthening the muscles along the leg, but also you think about how often we have weight on that leg bone in the hip when we're sitting or we're standing. Think about inviting space there. Pause. Navel center. Engage, and you lift the right leg up. Option to extend the left arm. Really press into that right arm so you're not collapsing. Notice if that shoulder comes up towards the ear. Press into the hand and notice how that gives you more muscle support through the arm. Lower the left hand and take that right leg over to the left. Look over your left shoulder. Come back to center. And just flip the right palm up, just stretching out the fingers, just a little counter stretch for the wrists and the hands. And then let's do the other side. We'll flip. All right, we're going to repeat that with a slightly different emphasis. We did this a couple of weeks ago. It's fairly nuanced, where when we're in the table pose, we want to keep the core engaged and avoid a back bend. So I'll demonstrate the do and don't here. So you're here, my core is engaged, I lift my leg, I lose my core. The arch comes in my back, I gain my core. Do you guys remember that?
Sort of.
All right, well, let's see if our body remembers it. All right, so you're in table, and let's extend the left leg back. So engaging the core, think about the tailbone is kind of coming in, wrapping in, and the tailbone and the belly button are drawing towards each other. So it looks like this. Now, as you lift this leg, there's going to be a tendency, because we want the leg to go higher, that we arch. Keep that tailbone drawing towards, it's actually the pubic bone. And breathe. All right. How does this feel? All right. Does it feel different?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's lower the leg down. And now let's do the right leg. You extend the right leg, engage the core. As you lift the leg up, watch the tendency to arch the lower back. You have to let go of the wanting to lift the leg high. Focus on that lower belly and then lower down. Nice. Have your blocks to the front of your space. And let's step the right foot forward. And you might want to, since we're still kind of warming up, especially if you're on the West Coast, still warming up the body, you might want to have the blocks at a higher level. And begin to lengthen the front leg. So this is where I am right now. Mm-hmm. If I want it to go straight, I need to walk my hands back. If I want my leg to go straighter without rounding my spine, I need to walk back. So as your legs are warming up, you might need to approach this a little differently. Now, next time the knee's bent, pause here. Welcome that stretch in the front of that left hip. If you want more, left arm lifts up. You may feel that stretch begins to intensify. And then you can arch to the right. And then come back to center, lower the hand down to the block. Lengthen the front leg and walk the hands back. And we'll do a little, what we call a pulsation here. Inhale, press your hands into the blocks and lift up. On your exhale, elbows bend and you melt a little deeper. So you probably feel that intensify on the back of the leg. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. And exhale, bend. Nice. Let's walk the hands back. If it's comfortable, lift the back knee off the floor. If not, you keep it down. And we'll do the same thing where we lengthen and bend. So we're not trying to straighten the front leg. It may go straight, but we want to try to keep our spine nice and long. And then next time the knee's bent, pause here. Left hand on the block, right hand can come to the knee. Now, if you're not twisting, then you want to skip this part. You just stay right here. If you're twisting, inhale, get a little more length, and then exhale, begin to twist to the right. Keep pressing through that back heel. Keep pressing behind that back knee so the leg stays straight. Come back to the center, lower the knee down. And take the right knee back to meet it. If you have a block, you can put it between the knees. And think about spinning the thighs inward. And you want to feel sort of the hip points drawing towards each other. And I like to put one hand on the belly and one hand on the lower back to keep my spine from arching too much. Toes are curled under. And then as you exhale, you lean back. And then inhale, you rise forward. We'll do it 2 more times. Exhale, you lean back. And inhale, you rise forward. Last one. And forward. Nice. Let's remove the block and step the left leg forward. And you repeat the same thing here. Noticing that the 2 sides might be quite different. Next time the knees bent, pause here. Maybe you take your hands to that front thigh. Maybe you take that right arm up. Maybe you arch to the left. Inhale back through center. Lifting the back knee and flowing through straight and bend. Just 3 times. And then you pause. Right hand on that right block. Left hand on the left thigh. Stay here or inhale. And then exhale, twist to the left. And come back to the center. And take that left knee back to meet the right knee. And we're standing on our knees again. You're welcome to have the block at the thighs. This can help keep the core engaged. We're going to do something a little different, coming into a back bend. So just start with the hands on the hips. Inhale, nice deep breath. Now think about arching the upper back. On your exhale, begin to roll the shoulders back. Imagine there's a little string right at the center of your chest, right on the sternum, that's being drawn up towards the ceiling. And exhale. Release. Now, if you like, you could take the hands to a different direction. You could take the hands on the lower back, maybe the hands face up. And exhale, lift up, arch back again. Maybe the second time there's a little bit more room. Exhale, release. Nice. Just want to check in. How's everybody doing?
Okay. You okay?
Yeah.
All right. So let's come into puppy pose. Arms extend forward. Toes are curled under and you press your hips back. I stretch. Once again, we're doing a lot for the shoulders, upper back, lower back, core. And now we're going to transition into Sphinx pose. You could imagine you're rolling a marble with your nose and you're just sort of creeping forward onto your forearms and belly. Now, this may not feel comfortable on the lower back. You could take, if you have this ball, you could take this under your chest. That can be a nice option. If it feels okay on your forearms, think about energetically drawing the elbows towards the hips and the hips towards the elbows. Shoulder blades slide down and the bottom tips draw towards each other as the upper shoulders draw away. This is very therapeutic for the lower back. if you would like to transition to a core strengthening, begin first by just lifting the belly off of the floor. You're pressing into the hands, into the forearms, and then maybe you lift the thighs. So you're pressing into the knees and the forearms. Maybe you lift the knees up for a forearm. We'll do this for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Let's come all the way down. Make a pillow with your hands for your forehead and let the knees bend. And then hands come under the shoulders and you press up through table. Either stretch back, child's pose, or come into a downward dog if you like. And lower the knees down if you're in downward dog. And we'll just walk to the back of the mat. Coming into a very deep knee forward fold where we make a shelf with our thighs to rest our arms on. Take a look at your feet. See if you can align them so that the outsides of the feet are parallel to the outsides of the mat. So the big toes will have to be, you'll actually look a little pigeon-toed here. And then begin to take the legs towards straight and then bend them. And just flow between those two. And warming up the knee joints. Another opportunity to warm up the backs of the legs. And then pause with the knees slightly bent. Hands come on the hips and then inhale, you rise up. And grab one of your tennis balls or dryer balls or whatever you've got. I'm gonna do a little something for the feet. So let's start with the ball of the foot on the ball. And just press, like you're pressing into a gas pedal, and then lift up. And just do that a couple of times. Just a little bit of pumping here to get the circulation going. And again, it can be interesting to just notice areas of tenderness. Like maybe you notice it when you're walking barefoot, or maybe this is enlightening for you to just notice where on your foot does it need a little stretch or a little something. And then pause. Slide the foot over the ball, so now it's in the front of the heel. Same thing, press down and lift up. Press down, lift up. And I'm going a little bit to the outside, a little bit to the inside, so that I can get this whole area. My ball's a little bit smaller, so the ball doesn't cover my whole foot. And then we're going to travel on the big toe side of the arch. So the first one, we're just going to notice how that feels. And then each toe gets its own little pathway excavated here. Where you go from the heel to each toe. And you decide how much pressure. And you can always hold on to a table or a wall if this feels a little wobbly for you. And then freestyle.
I find that I benefit from working on the big toe, just really kind of pressing specifically around the big toe area. And then let's release that and just notice any difference in the 2 feet, maybe the 2 legs. And let's do the other side. We're just going to press and release. And you might notice that as you do this, when you first do the press, maybe there's not a lot of give. But again, once we start hydrating this tissue, once once the tissues know what we're trying to do, you might find that they get a little deeper. And I'm making slight moves here. Again, the ball doesn't cover the whole toe pad here, so I'm kind of moving around. And then travel to the front of the heel. Same thing. Shift the weight, release it. Shift the weight, release it. And slight movements in the inner arch, the outer arch. And then you can do that line from heel to each toe. And you decide how much weight you want to put on the foot. This, again, as you're traveling through the arch, that can be kind of intense. And especially if you have something like plantar fasciitis or some sort of inflammation here, you want to be really careful with irritating the inflammation. So, as always, listen to the body. And then freestyle for a little bit. Find your point. All right. Now, one last thing, optional. You have 2 balls, and you may, I don't know, you might need something to hold on to. And you're just going to stand on the balls. I don't know if you can see, the balls are right in front of my heels. And I'm just going to do a little lift and lower. And you could even do a little bounce on it. And that's it. All right. So let's come to the front of our mat with our blocks, and we'll do a couple of flowing sequences. With our nice new feet. Starting at the front of your mat. Check out the feet. Maybe lift the toes, spread them wide. Try to drop just the pinky toes. And then one at a time, lower the other toes. And then your next breath. Inhale, reach the arms up, gentle back bend. Exhale, fold halfway. Press into the legs, nice long spine. On your exhale, hands come to the blocks. Step the left leg back. You're in that deep lunge. Inhale, reach the arms up, gentle back bend. Exhale, hands come to the blocks. And then we're just going to flow, straightening and bending 3 times. And after you get to the 3rd one, lift the back knee up. On your inhale, pressing into the blocks, lift the back leg up and step it. There's probably many different ways that you can end up at the front of your mat. That's just one. Inhale, reach up, gentle back bend. We'll do the other side. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, press into the legs, nice long spine. On your exhale, right leg steps back and you lower the knee down. Inhale, reach the arms up, getting that stretch in the front of that right hip. Exhale, hands lower down. And we flow 3 times from lengthening to bending. Nice. To the 3rd time, you pause here. Back knee lifts. You step. Rise, gentle back bend. Exhale, palms down to heart center. Step the right leg back for warrior 1. Back foot is turned out slightly. And the hips are pointed in the direction of the short end of your mat. Straighten the front knee and then bend it. Inhale, reach the arms up. Once again, we have that psoas muscle we're stretching here. And we'll flow. Straighten and lower. And bend and reach. You do this in rhythm with your breath. Pause with the arms up. And then inhale, really stretch through that right side. Left hand can come on the left hip. And you arch to the left. And try to create space above that hip. Inhale back to center. Both arms reach up. Exhale, begin to reach the arms forward. Gaze is about 3 feet out in front of you. And shifting into the ball of the back foot. And then maybe the leg comes off the ground. And then I step forward. Inhale, reach out, prepare to the second side. Exhale, fold halfway. Inhale, press into the legs, nice long spine. And then the left leg steps back and you come up into your warrior 1, other side. Hips are facing the short end of the mat. You straighten that right leg and then you bend it. Add the arms if you like. And flow with your breath. And then you pause. The right hand comes on the right hip. Left arm reaches up, 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 and over. Now keep that left hip heavy. That's going to help with balance and also with targeting the stretch. Inhale back up through center. Both arms reach up. Reach forward. Begin to transfer the weight to the front leg. You're on the ball of the back leg. And then you decide how much you want to balance on the front leg before stepping forward. Nice. How's everybody doing? All right. One more flow and then we'll hit the floor. How does that sound?
That's good.
So let's step the right leg back for warrior 2. So right leg steps back. This time hips are open to the long edge of the mat. But that left knee is still facing the short end. Straighten the leg and then bend it. Wrists cross and inhale, you reach the arms up. Good morning stretch. Exhale, extend the arms out. Look out over the left fingertips, maybe wiggle them a little. And then on your inhale, straighten the knee, reach the arms up. On your exhale, bend the knee, lower the arms down 3 times in total. And then you pause. Flip that front palm up to the ceiling and reach up and back. That front knee stays bent. Again, we want to create space between the ribs and the hip. So hip stays heavy and ribs are light. Inhale, back to warrior 2. And then windmill the hands. You can come to the blocks if you like. And then we step forward. That's just an option. However you get to the front is totally cool. Inhale, reach out, gentle back. On your exhale, fold halfway. And then press into the legs, extend. Nice long spine. And then left leg steps back. Warrior 2, second side. And take the time, open up the hips, check the alignment of that front knee. Wrist cross, and you'll stretch up and extend out. Look out over those right fingertips, maybe give them a little wiggle. And rotate the palms up. You reach the arms up as you straighten the leg. And then you press the palms down. Palms up as you stretch up. Palms down as you lower. Just one more time. Nice. Flip the right palm and reach up and back. Inhale through warrior 2. Keep going. You step to the front of your mat. And then inhale, you rise. Gentle back bend. Exhale, just let the palms come together and press into the palms as you draw the hands down to the center of your chest. Keep pressing the hands together, relax the shoulders. And then release the hands down. All right. Nice job. Ready for the ground?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so let's come onto our backs, just as we started. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And have your props handy, within reach. But we'll start off similar to how we started, just so we can check in and notice any differences after our practice. We're on the ground. Notice the feet. Maybe there's just automatically a little bit more awareness of the feet, where the weight is. Notice the knees, how they're aligned. Notice the back of the hips. Let your attention travel to the back of the ribs. And then arms are out to the sides. Notice the upper back, shoulders, and how the arms rest in the shoulder socket. Then inhale, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. And that same reaching up. So the arms, it's like they're drawing out of the shoulder socket, and then exhale, you change your mind. Just 2 more times. Now begin to stretch them back overhead. Now notice the ribs may flare, they may lift up off the ground. So it's this trying to stabilize the core that you may notice more
and the flexibility of the shoulder. It's how much stability it takes. Then inhale the arms back up. And let's let the arms come down to the sides. The palms can be facing down. Heel toe your feet all the way to the edges of the mat, and the knees follow. Then you can let your knees gently flow from side to side. Now, if it feels okay on the knees, just let the knees stay towards the right. So you have a spinal twist, more on the lower part of the spine. Breathe and allow a lengthening along the left side of the body. Kneel back up through center and lower the knees to the left. Another breath here. And then inhale back through center and just a couple of swishes side to side. And return to center and heel toe your feet so they're hips distance apart. Palms face down. Knees are right over the ankles. And inhale, press into the feet. Lift the hips up. Now, just for fun, lift the toes off the ground, so the weight's in the heels. Notice how that shows up in the legs. And then lower the toes down. Now lift the heels. Notice how that shows up in the legs. And lower the heels. You take your block, slide it on the tailbone. Lower the tailbone down. Right where we started. Again, it can be interesting to notice not only the physicality of this pose, but the energetic imprint of it. You might even notice a change in the rhythm of your breath. Maybe it slows down. You're welcome to stay with this, or maybe extend the feet off the floor, or maybe extend the legs towards the ceiling. Again, knees could be bent. The legs don't have to be directed directly up to the ceiling. And I would think, especially if you're tired, extending the legs straight might just demand more energy than you've really got at this point in the practice. So it's a really great opportunity to practice observing the body and then listening to what it is you observe. When you're ready, you can release out of that. And take a moment, just notice if there's any final poses or movements you'd like to take before Shavasana.
And if you're in Shavasana, identify what you'll be using as an anchor for your attention. The breath is a very common one. Observing the in-breath and the out-breath. You could also do self-body scans where you start at the feet, just observing. Whatever you're using, just notice when the mind wanders. You just gently bring it back. Another more formal anchor could be counting backwards. If we find it more challenging to calm the mind, sometimes it's helpful to do something a little more structured with the mind during this time. Allow your next breath to be a little longer, a little deeper. And invite gentle movements. Maybe wiggling your fingers or toes. Maybe taking your head from side to side. You're ready, gently roll onto your side. Taking a moment to just observe the rhythm of your breath, quality of your energy, and any sensations you may notice within your body. When you're ready, make your way up to seated. And if you'd like to join me in a gentle take a deep breath in. Namaste. Thank you guys.